Unwavering faith, how to stand miraculously firm in any divine confrontation, revealed in 40 days. In the heart of Eldersfield, England, tales of the miraculous swirled like a breeze that stirred secrets in the air. Among them, the story of Sarah, a devoted single mother, became one of unwavering hope and the promise of divine intervention. Every Sunday at St. Jude's Church, the congregation gathered, never guessing how soon they would witness faith put to its greatest test. For Sarah, life had always been a tapestry woven with love for her precious son, Thomas. Yet now, shadows of darkness loomed as a cruel diagnosis threatened their lives. Doctors were puzzled. Thomas was gravely ill with a rare affliction. As the news spread through the village, gasps echoed in the cobbled streets, and flickers of despair took root. But Sarah's heart remained aflame with faith. She clung to the ancient promises whispered by her pastor of healings occurring in a span of 40 days. St. Jude, in his holy wisdom, was the patron of desperate cases. She called upon him fervently day and night, despair transformed into fervent prayers. The atmosphere around St. Jude's thickened with spiritual intensity. Villagers began to whisper of miracles. Would they witness something extraordinary? Then strange occurrences rippled through Eldersfield. A flickering lamp in the church cast shadows that formed the image of wings. Parishioners paused, their eyes wide, murmuring sweet prayers. Some claimed to hear hymns in the wind, while others spotted strangers arriving, mysterious figures with warm smiles, hands clasped as they slipped silently into pews. It felt as if heaven itself were sending help and hope. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Days turned into weeks. Sarah, gathering strength, organized a public prayer vigil outside St. Jude's. As twilight descended, villagers of all ages arrived, their hearts full of expectation. Candles flickered, illuminating tired but hopeful faces as Psalm 91 wafted through the evening air. With each whispered prayer, the congregation grew more fervent. A palpable energy surged like crackling electricity, a divine presence hovering over them all. Yet, as time wound closer to the fateful 40-day mark, Sarah felt the tightening grip of dread upon her heart. Thomas's condition ebbed and flowed, days of smiles fading into nights filled with worry. On the vigil night, with voices of the faithful rising around her, she stepped forward.
There she stood at the altar, vulnerability raw and resolute, tears shining as they traced her cheeks. "We believe in miracles. We must not falter." Her words wove through the night like golden threads of hope. Then came the moment when all eyes turned to the back of the church. Gasps rose from lips, and the air crackled with holy anticipation as a brilliant light burst forth, enveloping Thomas, radiant as the dawn. Cheers erupted, but still, questions remained in Sarah's heart. Was this the end of her trials, or merely the beginning of a new journey? The weight of transformation pressed upon her, igniting a call to serve. The village celebrated, faith strengthened, yet Sarah gazed forward, sensing the profound shifts entwined with this miracle. What awaited her now? What new challenges would her unfaltering faith bring? As the skies darkened, the shadows stretched long, revealing another story just beginning to unravel. As dawn illuminated Eldersfield, a new day dawned upon Sarah's heart, yet she felt a stirring unease. The morning sun poured light over the village, painting the cobblestones gold and casting long shadows that danced along the streets. People gathered again at St. Jude's, their expressions bright with faith but tinged with uncertainty. Sarah had witnessed a miracle, yes, but she could sense the subtle shift in the air, a call to responsibility perhaps, or an invitation to deeper understanding. Gathering her son in her arms, the warmth of Thomas's laughter filled her with solace. Yet behind his smile lay a hint of the fragility of life. Sarah gazed at him, feeling both hope and a fear she couldn't shake. "We have been given a gift, darling," she whispered, smoothing his cheek. But with this gift comes responsibility to spread the light. Could she truly balance the joy of healing with the weight of purpose? As the days passed, the village buzzed with newfound energy. Friends and neighbors came together in prayer, sharing stories of miracles witnessed during those 40 days. The fabric of community started to weave tighter. Sarah found herself weaving in and out of conversations, sharing not only the joy of Thomas's recovery, but also listening to the hidden burdens of others. Old Mrs. Jenkins opened up about her illness, finding solace in Sarah's unyielding faith. And young Peter confessed despair over his failing business, with worry etched on his brow. One evening, as twilight draped its gentle embrace around the village, Sarah found herself at the church once more, candle flames flickering like stars. This time, she stood before the altar, not merely as a seeker of answers, but as a vessel to carry forth the newfound light. "We are all connected," she proclaimed softly, her voice rising with the weight of truth. "What we receive, we must give. The love we feel can heal more than a single heart." Around her, heads nodded, and the congregation began to murmur, voices lifting like an offering to the heavens.
Sarah herself felt the current of divine energy trickling through the cracks of uncertainty. Perhaps this was her calling, to rally the community, to be a guiding star amid life's storms. But as the week unfolded, whispers of doubt began to creep back. Not everyone wore a joyful countenance. Despite miracle after miracle blooming across Eldersfield, others were suspicious, questioning how such divine wonders could fester amidst everyday troubles. "Do you think this is merely coincidence?" a young man challenged during a gathering. "Is it not false hope we're clinging to?" The air thickened with tension, and Sarah's heart pounded in her chest. This was her moment, to stand firm, to evoke unwavering faith when faced with skepticism. "In every miracle lies a choice," she replied, her voice steady. "We can choose to believe, to take steps towards hope, but faith requires us to hold on in the darkest of nights." At that moment, she remembered the flickering light that had once enveloped her son. What miracles awaited them yet, and what transformations lay ahead for her heart and for those around her? As Sarah walked home, a feeling of weightlessness filled her, yet the pressing concerns of the community nestled in her soul, urging her forward. God had illuminated a path, but how to navigate it? What challenges were waiting just beyond the horizon? The veil of uncertainty hung before her, teasing her with the profound mystery that awaited. What lay behind the next turn that could shake their faith again? The moon hung low over Eldersfield, casting a silvery glow that cloaked the village in serenity. But within Sarah's heart, a storm brewed. Despite the miracles unfolding all around her, doubts whispered persistently, echoing in the corners of her mind. Could her faith withstand the pressure? The next day began with a sense of urgency. As she prepared breakfast for Thomas, the boy's laughter faded into silence, replaced by the weight of contemplation. Sarah's thoughts drifted, pondering how she might strengthen her community's resolve. Yet every smile they shared felt like a thin veil, barely concealing unspoken fears. Gathering her courage, she ventured out to the marketplace. Vibrant stalls adorned with fresh produce and flowers buzzed with life, but the air felt thick with trepidation. Conversations fluttered like moths, landing briefly before darting away from uncomfortable truths. "Have you heard about the storm coming?" a woman asked, her voice low. "They say it's going to shake the very ground we stand on." "What kind of storm?" Sarah probed, sensing the undercurrents of anxiety. "The storms of doubt, I'm afraid." The woman's eyes glinted with fear. "People are losing faith, Sarah. They say it can all be explained away. They doubt our miracles." A pang of sorrow struck deep within Sarah. She felt the burden of their loss weighing on her shoulders like an anchor. "But we've seen what God can do," she exclaimed, her voice rising with fervor.
"These miracles are not mere accidents. They are signs that He walks among us." But her words seemed to slide off like water, failing to penetrate the doubts festering in her friends' hearts. Sarah felt the familiar pang of frustration and fear. The transformation she hoped to witness felt fragile, teetering on the edge of disbelief. Returning home, she prayed fervently, the words tumbling out like a waterfall. "Lord, show me how to share your light with those whose hearts are heavy. Give me the strength to lead them back to faith." That evening, Sarah gathered a few close friends at her home. It felt small and intimate, yet palpable tension filled the air.
They sat in a circle, candles flickering softly, casting dancing shadows across their faces. "I am afraid," Peter admitted, his voice barely rising above a whisper. "What if this all fades away? What if the doubts take root?" She looked into his eyes, filled with sorrow and uncertainty, and felt a surge of resolve flow through her. "What if we choose to believe? Someday we will look back on this time. We can say we didn't give in. We held tightly to faith." "Sometimes I wonder if I'm just fooling myself," one woman confessed. "What if hope is just wishing for something impossible?" Sarah clasped her hands, feeling the warmth of her own conviction. "Hope is not a wish, it's a promise. Promises don't vanish when the winds shift, they stand firm." Silence settled as the words echoed. In that quiet moment, she could sense a shift within the group. The embers of faith began to stir once more, ignited by shared vulnerability. As they shared stories and experiences, laughter broke through the darkness, lifting spirits like birds taking flight. Sarah too felt an unfamiliar joy swell in her heart, weaving the old and new together. But just as the night felt secure, the door creaked open, a chilling breeze sneaking in alongside an unexpected visitor. "Sarah," the newcomer's voice cut through the warmth, "I must talk to you about the darkness that is starting to gather." Sarah's heart quickened. What shadows loomed on the horizon? What revelations awaited her? The journey of faith had more mysteries to unfold. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine as the visitor stepped into the flickering candlelight. The figure was cloaked, shadows dancing across their features, obscuring their identity. Uncertainty hung heavy in the air, creating a palpable tension that mirrored the fears she and her friends had shared moments before. "Who are you?" Sarah managed to ask, shaking off her surprise. "My name is Gideon," the visitor replied softly, yet there was an undercurrent of urgency. "I come with a warning. The storm of doubt isn't just a figment of our minds. It is rising, stronger than we can imagine. It seeks to divide us." A ripple of discomfort washed over the gathering. Peter shifted uncomfortably in his seat, while the woman who had questioned hope turned pale.
The candles flickered, illuminating the growing concern etched on their faces. "How can we fight this storm?" Sarah asked, her voice steadying amidst the chaos of emotions swelling within her heart. "We have seen miracles. We know God is with us." Gideon took a step forward, shedding a bit of the darkness that clung to him. "It is not enough to know. You must believe in the face of adversity. Miracles often come shrouded in doubt and pain. Would you hold fast to your faith even when all seems lost? That is where the true battle lies." Sarah's heart raced. Could she face the uncertainty ahead? Could she rally the village to stand firm in faith? Time felt like it was slipping between her fingers, and the weight of her community's doubts pressed hard on her spirit. "Sarah," Gideon continued, "the deeper the roots of doubt, the stronger the storm that follows. You must guide your friends through this darkness, remind them of the truths they already know. Just as wildflowers bloom with fervor after a storm, so too can faith flourish when tended with care and love." A newfound determination bloomed within Sarah. If faith could be shaken, then surely it could also be restored. "What does that look like? How do I lead them back?" she asked earnestly, seeking more than just casual platitudes. "Gather your people, not just to share your fears, but to proclaim the miracles. Share stories of faith playfully and passionately, allowing their hearts to soften under the testimony of what God has done." As Gideon spoke, Sarah felt a stirring within her, not just the anxiety of the moment, but a powerful calling to rise and act. She could feel the warmth of encouragement from those around her, igniting the embers of hope that had lain dormant under the cloak of doubt. But what if they refused to listen? Peter's voice was a tremor of vulnerability. "What if I'm just chasing shadows?" "Then you stand firm," Gideon replied, his voice steady as the rising sun. "The root of doubt may waver a tree, but it cannot uproot it completely unless it chooses to let go." The room fell silent, the weight of the visitor's words settling in. For the first time, Sarah began to see glimmers of hope rather than shadows of fear. "We will gather," she whispered, conviction growing stronger. "I won't let doubt win. It's time to light the way back to faith." Gideon smiled knowingly, the shadows within him fading as he took a step back towards the door. "Remember, you are not alone. Together, you will be stronger.
You must trust not just in your stories, but in the one who gives them life. As he slipped back into the night, the candlelight flickered gently, illuminating the faces of her friends who were now starting to absorb the promise of possibility. Tomorrow we will share, we will pray together, and remind Eldersfield of what we have witnessed, Sarah announced, a fire sparking in her soul. We will stand firm.
But just then, a rumble echoed in the distance, a low growl of clouds gathering strength before the storm shielded the moon's glow, darkening their hopes. What storm was encroaching, and what trials lay ahead? As they prepared to face the dawn, the horizon seemed to whisper. Would they stand together, unyielding in faith, when the storm at last arrived? The sun rose reluctantly the next morning, casting a pale light through the mist that hung thick like a memory. Eldersfield's streets, usually vibrant, felt muted under the weight of uncertainty. Sarah stood at her window, heart racing with anticipation and fear as she watched her neighbors stirring. Would they be willing to gather? There was a quiet whisper of hope within her, mingled with the dread of doubt that seemed to weave itself through the village. She turned to Peter, who was still in the glow of the morning light streaming through the open door of her home. "Are you ready?" she asked, her voice quaking slightly, though she held herself firm. Peter swallowed, taking a moment to gather his thoughts. He paused. "I've always believed that faith is stronger than fear, but it feels so distant right now." "Then let's bring it close," Sarah murmured, feeling the stir of resolve within her. "We will remind them of the moments that lit up our hearts." As the first whispers of villagers reached her ears, Sarah felt a pang of trepidation course through her. They would gather in the old chapel, a place where many had faded memories of laughter and prayer. What if their walls were now too burdened with doubt to hold their faith? Leaving her home, she caught glimpses of familiar faces, each shadowed by the storm that loomed both overhead and within. Voices echoed in her mind, stories of healing, of love, of divine intervention. One by one, she invited her neighbors with a warmth that felt like the sun breaking through the clouds, offering a reminder that they were not as alone as the silence suggested. As they gathered beneath the chapel's arches, Sarah felt their collective anxiety tighten in the air. The music of hope was a fragile note yet to be played. She stepped forward, hands trembling slightly, yet warmed by an inner light. "Thank you for coming," she called out, her voice steadier than she felt. "I know we are all carrying heaviness today. It seems the storm is enforcing a blanket of doubt, but I believe we are here for a purpose." A cloud of murmurs lingered through the congregation, each face a canvas of uncertainty. She pressed on, the depth of her love for them and the community a flame in her heart. "Let us share our stories," she urged, nearly breathless. "Let us speak about God's miracles and moments where we felt His presence in our lives." Gradually, a spark ignited in the eyes of those around her. One by one, the villagers began to testify. An elderly woman spoke of her daughter's recovery from illness. A young man shared how he found faith in desperation, and another recounted a miraculous provision during a time of need. With every story shared, the heaviness began to dissipate, replaced gradually by a thick cloud of warmth and belief. Just then, the sound of thunder rumbled outside, a low growl that vibrated through the walls of the chapel. The air shifted, as if nature itself was responding to the faith unfolding inside. Sarah's heart skipped. Could they truly be stronger than the storm outside? "Beyond our doubts," she declared, "we can hold on to the truth that God has been our rock. The skies may darken, but our spirits can rise." Her words hung in the air, charged with the raw energy of collective faith. In those moments, uncertainty began to crumble. She witnessed tears glistening on cheeks, luminous from the shared connection to the divine stories that poured forth, stories steeped in verity, life, and power. But just as the congregation began to rise in faith, another series of thunderclaps echoed, more violent now. The doors rattled, and they felt a chilling gust sweep through the room. "What was that?" someone gasped, eyes wide with the threat of fear. Sarah's heart quickened, the winds of doubt swirling again. Was the storm merely outside, or had it crept into their hearts? As they gathered their collective courage, Sarah paused for a moment, sensing an unseen battle brewing. What if this was only the beginning of their test? What truly lay ahead as they pushed against the veil of despair? At that moment, something deep within her ignited, a faith that could withstand any storm. The question lingered, Would they hold firm against the gathering shadows, both outside and within? Today's testimony might just be the beacon that guided them through. What would they discover together when the storm broke? A hush fell over the chapel, the kind of silence that spoke volumes, filled with anticipation and uncertainty. The villagers looked to Sarah, their eyes searching for assurance amid the rising storm outside. As the thunder continued to rumble like a distant drum, Sarah felt the weight of their fears resting heavily on her shoulders. "Look at each other," she beckoned softly, spreading her arms wide. "We are not alone in this. Each one of us carries a flame of faith, and when joined together, we can light up the darkest of storms." Her voice rang out, echoing through the chapel, and she held onto her hope like a lifeline. Slowly, hands began to clasp together. The older folks and the young ones alike created a network of connection, each hand a reminder of shared commitment to light. Sarah took a deep breath, feeling every heartbeat resonate with the presence of something greater than themselves. She focused on the warmth of the room, the scent of the worn wooden beams around her, and the flicker of candles that struggled mightily to stay lit.
"Let us continue to share and pray together," she suggested, the softness in her voice shimmering like the glowing flames. "Together, we can call upon the name of the one who is greater than the storm." As her words settled, a woman named Ruth began to speak. Her voice was steady, almost melodic. "Last autumn, my son faced a life-threatening accident. I remember feeling so lost, thinking I would lose him. But then, oh, the comfort I felt. I prayed, and all I could feel was his love surrounding me. He held my heart and whispered that my son would be okay, and he is." As Ruth's testimony washed over them, Sarah caught the ripple of relief that spread through the villagers. One by one, others shared their own moments, each story like a shield against the rising winds. A mother spoke of a financial miracle that caught her unawares, while another man shared how a chance encounter had planted seeds of faith in his weary heart. Each story acted like a wave of hope, pushing back against the dark clouds swirling overhead. The thunder grew louder, but inside the chapel, an unexpected peace began to swell. As they prayed, Sarah felt a tingle of energy simmering in the air. "Each time we testify," she encouraged, her heart racing, "we build a fortress of faith. Our voices join together, creating walls against our doubts." Suddenly, a blinding flash of light illuminated the space, followed by a crack of thunder so fierce that the chapel trembled. Gasps erupted from the congregation, but Sarah wasn't finished. "Fear not," she pleaded, her voice as bold as she could muster. "We are surrounded by his promises. Each rumble outside is a reminder of the power he gives us within." The people looked to one another, their hearts beginning to race with a different kind of energy. They felt that God was very much present, urging them onwards through their fear. As if on cue, an overwhelming wave of excitement bulged forth, igniting their spirits anew. The chapel, once a place of trepidation, transformed into a sacred ground of hope and strength. Just then, Peter suddenly stood, eyes wide with revelation. "What if," he stammered, "the storm isn't just a foe, but an opportunity, an invitation to deepen our faith?" The air shifted, a collective gasp of realization wafted through the congregation, and all eyes turned to Peter. He held something sacred in those words, a challenge, a possibility. "Exactly," Sarah affirmed, her heart pounding with clarity. "In this moment, we decide to rise above the storm. What if our steadfastness turns sorrow into rejoicing?" A fire ignited within the hearts gathered there. They started chanting words of hope and prayers of perseverance, louder and bolder than the thunder. With every shout, the storm outside became less threatening. The outside world dimmed, while the light within them began to shine brighter. Yet just as they began to find strength, a cold gust swept through the chapel again, leaving them breathless. Eyes turned wide once more, and a chill snaked through the air. "Do not lose your faith," Sarah called out, her voice ringing with urgency. "Together, we must elevate this moment with our belief." In that moment, when heaven and earth teetered on the cusp of intertwining, Sarah sensed something significant on the horizon, something divine waiting to unfold. What revelation lay in that whirlwind of thunder and faith? Would this gathering be the key to unlocking a greater understanding of divine connection? The storm did not simply wage war outside. It was summoning them all to a pivotal confrontation they could not yet understand. As the seconds stretched out,
A profound stillness enveloped the chapel, as if the storm itself paused to listen. Every heart was rhythmically beating, synchronized in a shared pulse of faith. Sarah's voice rang through, firm and unwavering. "The storm tests our resolve, but it cannot extinguish our light. Keep your flames lit, beloveds. We are bound by love and faith." Peter's words lingered like the essence of incense, stirring thoughts of hope and opportunity in every mind. Sarah caught sight of a young boy holding his mother's hand, his gaze wide and innocent, reflecting the courage of those gathered. "Even the smallest among us can teach us strength," she noted gently. Suddenly, the flickering flames of the candles caught Sarah's eye, each one struggling bravely against the chilling drafts that wove through the chapel. "We are like these candles," she exclaimed. "Each battle we face, the winds, the storms, they can't dim our light unless we allow it. Look at them. They bend, but they don't break." A wave of determination washed over the villagers. Each flicker reminded them of the sacred spark within. They nodded emphatically, voices rising to meet the thundering storm outside. "We believe, we stand together." As their cries echoed in harmony, the flash of lightning illuminated the chapel anew. But this time it felt different, not ominous, but like a divine spotlight unveiling hidden truths. With renewed clarity, Sarah sensed something deeper weaving through the prayers. She raised her hands, encouraging them to join her in a moment of surrender. "Let's give thanks for the storm," she declared, "for the testing, for the strengthening it offers us." The villagers exchanged puzzled glances, but followed her lead, lifting their voices in gratitude. "Thank you for the storm. Thank you for the winds. You are good, Lord." It was a chorus that vibrated through the walls, shaking off fear and wrapping each heart in a warm embrace of praise. Sarah felt a rush of energy, a connection that stirred something deep within her. "There is power in our gratitude," she proclaimed, and the congregation echoed with fervor, a reminder that blessings often conceal themselves in trials. In that sacred space, time seemed to stand still. A hush fell once again, but this time it transformed into a quiet anticipation.
Sarah closed her eyes, allowing the energy to flow over her like waves upon the shore. She prayed fervently, inviting the divine presence among them. "Holy Spirit, be with us. Illuminate our hearts, guide our thoughts." Chills danced on her skin as an overwhelming light began to fill the chapel, spilling over the edges of the candles like molten gold. The air thickened with expectation. A feeling of profound unity washed over them as the villagers linked arms, eyes now shrouded in wonder. "What's happening?" a voice whispered from the back. "Is this?" "It feels like God's glory," someone else gasped, and gasps greeted the proclamation. But Sarah held on to the mystery, aware that they had been led to a precipice, a moment pregnant with potential. "Stay open," she urged. "We are on the brink of something incredible." As her words hung in the air, a whimper of wind ensued, and the ground beneath them seemed to rumble, resonating with every prayer and proclamation of faith. A gentle voice echoed in Sarah's spirit, whispering promises of hope and transformation. Just beyond the storm's tumult lay a divine purpose waiting to be unveiled. What extraordinary revelation awaited this congregation as they stood steadfast against the trials encircling them? What did this moment herald for their lives? Could it usher in an awakening they never dreamed possible? The air crackled with possibility, holding their breath. The murmurs of awe cascaded through the chapel, rippling like the waves of an unseen ocean. Each villager felt the hum of expectation, their hearts open to whatever divine revelation was about to unfold. Sarah, her spirit ignited by the collective faith of those around her, could almost taste the sweetness of heaven in the air. "Can you sense it?" she whispered, her eyes shining like stars. "It's the presence of something greater than ourselves, a heavenly assurance that we are held fast in this moment." The wind howled outside, but within the chapel, the tension was transformed into a tapestry of peace and hope. The flickering candle flames danced with urgency, reflecting the racing hearts of the gathered faithful. "There is a promise lurking in the shadow of our trials," she continued, her voice lifting above the storm. "A promise that when we endure, we rise." A
hush fell over the crowd as Peter stepped forward, a glowing insight illuminating his face. Just like gold refined in fire, we too are being made pure through these moments. His statement resonated deeply, and nods of agreement spread like waves breaking over a shore. At the back of the chapel, where shadows gathered, a woman wiped away tears of both fear and joy. "I came here tonight broken, but it seems the storm has brought me to this sacred place of healing," she whispered to her neighbor. Her vulnerability cracked open a space for others to share their burdens and hopes, creating a powerful synergy of faith. "Let us lift our request before him,"
Sarah exclaimed, raising her hands. One by one, voices began to rise in prayer, soft at first, then swelling like a mighty chorus. Each prayer became a note in a symphony of unshakable faith, weaving through time and space to reach the very heart of God. Lord, grant us clarity through confusion. Bring us peace in our struggles. Lead us on paths of righteousness. As their voices blended in harmonic devotion, the brilliant glow that filled the chapel intensified. Light danced in every corner, illuminating the faces of those lost in prayer, showing reflection, faces drenched in sincerity and love. Suddenly, a loud clap of thunder split the air, but it sparked not fear, but a wild thrill. "It feels like he is rejoicing with us," a young woman exclaimed, the spark of enthusiasm contagious, igniting laughter amidst the gathering storm. The air thickened, charged with divine energy, and Sarah felt a shift in the atmosphere. "Stay alert, beloveds," she instructed urgently. "God's presence is here with us. If you feel a stirring in your spirit, if something calls to you, don't hold back." In that moment, 2 teenagers began to pray aloud for the younger children scattered among them, weaving a protective blanket of prayer over their innocence. Others joined in, voices rising like a beautiful tapestry, intercessions embracing the hearts of the most vulnerable. A sudden rush of wind seemed to whirl through the sanctuary, bringing with it whispered messages of hope. Faces turned upwards, mouths agape in awe. "Can you feel it?" someone gasped, as though the very breath of God swept through their midst. With every heartbeat, the hope grew stronger, effectively squeezing out despair. "We were not meant for fear," Sarah reiterated with passion. "We were made for faith. When trials come, they empower us to become who we truly are in Christ." The atmosphere held its breath, suspended in the miracle of that moment, as if time itself had woven into their prayers. A stunning awakening began to ripple in their hearts, opening doors to wisdom they had not yet reached. "Beloveds, what if we emerge from this storm changed, renewed?" Sarah invited them into the mystery. "What if our trial becomes our triumph?" Outside, the winds continued to howl, but in the comforting haven of the chapel, hearts were blistering with hope. With each echo of faith, the divine presence seemed to thicken until it felt tangible, wrapping around them as if held in the arms of the Almighty. "But wait," Sarah's voice quivered gently, and a hush fell again. "What if the storm is just the beginning of a supernatural journey we are called to embrace? What awaits us if we move from this place changed?" With bated breath, they stood at the cusp of wonder, knowing that their journey of faith was just beginning. What extraordinary adventures awaited them on the other side of the storm?
The wind continued its fierce dance outside, but within the sacred walls of the chapel, a different kind of wind began to stir. It was as if a breeze of expectation swept through the congregation, causing hearts to beat in rhythm with the divine. Eyes remained fixed on Sarah, whose presence radiated both calm and fervor. With every prayer interwoven in love, a spirit of collaboration arose among the villagers. They began to look around, each person reflecting the light that was igniting within. Whispers of encouragement flowed like a gentle river, wrapping around those who felt hesitant. "You are not alone," someone said. "We stand with you." In that space, vulnerability became strength. Sarah noticed the woman who had initially wept for healing, her tears now transformed into a glimmering pool of hope. As hearts grew closer, hands reached out, clasping one another in unity. Each grip was a silent promise, a pledge that together they would face whatever lay ahead. "Beloveds," Sarah called, her voice echoing with certainty, "let us remember the words of the Lord. Fear not, for I am with you. This storm has come to strengthen us, not to break us. Like branches on the tree, we may sway, but we will not snap. Each declaration sent a shudder of excitement among the crowd, spirits lifting as warmth flooded through them. It was a warmth that kindled visions of what might arise from their shared faith. As if on cue, a small child stood, eyes bright and curiosities ablaze. "Can we sing?" she asked, innocent and bold. A spontaneous wave of music began, voices rising in harmony, a chorus of unshakable faith sweeping throughout the room. The sounds intertwined, soaring above the storm, an offering to the heavens that echoed deep into the night. Songs of praise and thanksgiving filled every crevice, dissipating doubt like fog on a bright morning. Suddenly, the chapel was illuminated by a gentle radiance, as if the very essence of hope had taken form. The air shimmered with a sweetness that was tangible, heartbeats synchronizing to the melody of the divine. Yet in the back, an undercurrent of uncertainty lingered. Peter, poised with conviction, recognized the need for reflection. "Friends," he said softly, "our journey takes courage, and sometimes we must admit our fears. What if we face obstacles that shake us? What if we don't see the answers we yearn for?" A hush swallowed the joyous song, a moment tortured by the tension of honest vulnerability. It was in this silence that transformation occurred. Each villager recognized the cracks that revealed a more profound faith, a faith that didn't rely solely on the visible signs. "Let us not forget," Sarah responded, her eyes shimmering with resolution, "that even in our moments of doubt, God is still God, unchanging and ever-present. The darkness cannot overpower the promise of light within us. The question isn't whether we will face trials, but how we will rise as one people forged in faith."
The room ignited once more, the flickering candles reflecting the warmth of their rekindled spirits. They emerged from the silence, voices soaring higher than before, each note a declaration of resilience. It was evident that inner strength was not to be found merely in certainty, but in the community built on shared struggles and hopes. As the final notes of their song hung in the air, an undeniable shift occurred. Something divine was about to unfurl. A doorway to a greater journey beckoned them forward. What revelation awaited them in the stillness beyond their current awareness? What divine paths would they discover as they stepped into the unknown, united in strength and faith? The storm raged unabated outside, but within the chapel, a moment of divine clarity descended upon Sarah and the villagers. The air was alive with fervor, each heart a drumbeat resonating with hope and unwavering faith. The flickering candle flames danced alongside the spark ignited by their shared testimonies, illuminating the path ahead. Sarah looked out at the gathered faces, filled with determination. "This storm is not the end," she declared passionately. "It's an opportunity, a galvanizing moment to rise together as one family in faith." The villagers nodded, their resolve fortified in the face of uncertainty. Peter, emboldened, stepped forward again. "Every story shared today, each prayer lifted, is a thread in this tapestry of hope. The storm might rage, but together we weave a shield of faith." "Yes," Sarah echoed, tears glimmering in her eyes. "And through our shared strength, we can bring light to those who feel lost in their darkness. Let this moment mark the beginning of a new chapter for Eldersfield, a chapter filled with love, support, and miracles." Suddenly, the sound of thunder cracked again, louder than before, but instead of fear, warmth washed over them. It was confirmation. The storm was stirring something powerful among them, a current of energy that resonated with God's promise. "Let us go forth," Sarah urged, her voice unwavering. "Let us spread the light we have found, show our neighbors the unshakable faith we've nurtured in each other." The assembly murmured as agreement spread like wildfire, hearts igniting with a fresh sense of purpose. They clasped hands, forming a living chain of unity. "With each step we take," Sarah continued, "let us reach those gripped by doubt, offer love to those shrouded in despair. We fill the temple of our hearts, not only for ourselves, but for everyone in our beloved community." Inspired, Peter raised his voice. "No matter how fierce the winds blow, we must be the beacon on the hill. Let our light shine brightly, even when the darkness tries to creep in." His words echoed against the stone walls, igniting a passion that drew everyone in. As they prepared to unite as a force of hope, a gentle breeze swept through the chapel, ruffling their hair and bringing with it a scent of rain mingled with something more fragrant. It was as if heaven itself was lavishly cheering them on. Sarah calmed her breathing and turned again to her friends,
cupping her hands around her heart. We stand not in our own strength, but in the might of the one called ever-present. We will arise through this storm and beyond. With renewed vigor, the villagers began to step out of the chapel. As they emerged, they marveled at an unexpected sight. The storm began to clear, clouds retreating like timid shadows, leaving behind a brilliant sky awash in hues of gold and pink. "Look!" someone exclaimed, pointing upward. Gasps of awe rippled through the crowd as they witnessed a vibrant rainbow stretching across the horizon, a radiant promise after the storm. "The Lord is with us!" shouted a voice, and the crowd erupted in cheers, their spirits elevated. Sarah felt the surge of joy wash over her, for this magnificent sight was more than a natural phenomenon. It was a divine affirmation, a sign that the trials faced together had led to abundant blessings. With Thomas at her side, she beamed in pride and gratitude. In that shared promise, they all knew, deep down, the truth fortified by their journey. Faith would not only endure, but flourish when tested, leading them from tumult into transformation. As the villagers linked arms, setting forth to spread love and light, Sarah's heart swelled with thankfulness. This was the sacred moment their community needed. Every single step would ignite more faith, the kind that could rise fiercely against any storm, the kind that would sweep across Eldersfield and kindle a generational legacy of hope. "May our lives testify to your goodness," Sarah proclaimed aloud, her voice unwavering against the backdrop of the sun setting behind the mountains. "Together, we will shape the world in the glow of his light." And together they stepped forward, the soft glow of faith illuminating their path ahead, ready to manifest his love and share their stories with all who needed to hear them. If this is the moment your faith ignites, we urge you, subscribe immediately. Do not miss our next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now. Your support feeds the algorithm and helps us reach even more hearts. Comment your reactions and testimonies about how this ending has inspired you. We want to know how your faith continues to unfold. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation of hope. This is the moment to show your support. Let's spread his light far and wide.